So, how do you learn to trust yourself? Right? Last night we talked about how important it is to trust yourself, making big decisions in your life. And when you're struggling to make a decision or always regretting your decisions, you're not acting. You might be stuck partially because you've stopped trusting yourself. You've outsourced that to someone else. And it's time for you to start trusting yourself again. And maybe for you, that feels easier to say than to do. So, tonight I'm going to share some tips on how to do that. But it's one of the things that I coach people to do because it doesn't take long to realize when someone doesn't trust their own intuition. It is undermining their confidence, it's undermining their happiness. They're always looking to external sources and it's slowing them down in life. It's keeping them looking backwards instead of forwards because you're thinking, I can't believe I let that happen. I can't believe I picked the wrong countertops. I can't believe I lost that friendship. I can't believe I'm estranged from that family member. What should I have done instead? You're always second guessing yourself. And you don't need to second guess yourself. You need to learn from your experiences. That's the fine line that most people miss that therapy can help you figure out. But the first thing that you can do is honestly to practice mindfulness. There's so much noise in the world. And when you can have regular meditation or mindfulness, it's going to give you the opportunity just to learn to listen to the voice in your gut, to listen to the words in your head. And it may be that your inner voice has been so told to be quiet, right? It's been told you're wrong all the time. Maybe you've been gaslit by someone who's told you you can't do anything right, right? And you're working your way back from that. And it's really important to learn to listen to that voice again, but you can't listen to it if you can't hear it. And when we are in survival mode, when we are frozen in fear, it we are reacting. We're not acting. We're not being proactive. And so the opportunity to meditate, even if it's 5 minutes a day, and there's so many good videos on YouTube, find something that you love. Maybe it's about maybe having a journal. Maybe it's about eliminating the distractions when you're trying to make a decision. But you've got to become more mindful and actually quiet enough to hear that voice. The second thing is journaling. It is really cool to write about your feelings and decisions to help you recognize patterns that you might be experiencing. Let's say that you don't know why, there's always someone that bullies you at work. Everywhere you work, there's someone that wants to bully you. That's a pattern that you're a part of. I used to be part of that pattern. I attracted bullies like nobody else until I figured out what I was doing and what I could stop doing and what I could start doing to turn that on its head. And it made a big difference, but it took a few occasions where I was like, why is this happening to me again? It wasn't it happening to me, it was happening for me so that I could learn. But it took some journaling, it took some meditation, and it took some practice to figure out that some of my people pleasing instincts, some of my fawning instincts, right? When I'm trying to make sure that somebody isn't upset, often I would get quiet and small and try to placate them. I had to stop all of that. I had to stop over talking and over explaining. I had to stop apologizing when I hadn't done anything wrong. If any of these things sound familiar, I had to learn to trust my own intuition and to be quietly calm in my own power and my own knowledge. I have nothing to prove to anyone. I have nothing to prove to anyone, and neither do you. Do your best, and that is your proof of what you can do, right? And so journal about times where your intuition was right. Reinforce the fact that you do make good decisions. The third thing would be to take some small risks, right? To start with a smaller decision, allow yourself to act on a gut feeling and see what the results are. This could be even as minor as deciding what's for dinner. This used to be a huge battle in our house. What do you want? Well, what do you want? Well, where do you want to go? Well, where do you want to go? Obviously, that means we're blessed. We can choose what we eat each evening, and that is something I don't take lightly. But what I realized is part of it was we were both trying to make sure each other was happy when, Lord, we eat plenty. And so I had to trust my intuition and just say, look, we either need to say, you make the decisions on dinner, Monday through Wednesday and I make them the other days of the week, or we need to be able to honestly tell each other what we want, take no offense, make a decision and move forward. And we had to come up with a strategy for that. But it was taking that small risk of saying, tonight for dinner, I want the French onion soup from Costco. Oh my gosh, if you haven't had that, try it. It's amazing. I'm very picky about my French onion soup. But I had to start taking small risks. Maybe you decide to take the risk of making a decision about where to hold an event or what you're going to be purchasing for wardrobe. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be life changing, but use your intuition. Is this a good situation or a bad situation? As long as the risk isn't too high, take that small risk and watch what happens. Next is going to be limiting the outside noise. You have to reduce the interference and the influence of external opinions, because the bottom line is we're great at telling each other what we think, often when we're wrong, right? That's the new American song, is let me confidently be wrong on the internet, which is painful for anyone who actually understands how our government works or how elections work or how the Constitution works. We've all gotten exhausted by that, right? The presidents don't control money. There is a Congress that controls money, but limiting outside noise. Maybe you're trying to make a decision and all you're hearing is conflicting stuff from everybody else. It's making you nuts. Where are we going to go on vacation next year? Well, she wants to go to the Outer Banks and she wants to go to Myrtle Beach and she wants to just say, if I'm planning it, we are going to Kiowa. Also go to Kiowa if you can. It's beautiful. But you've got to limit the outside noise as you're learning to trust yourself. Eventually, this is going to become second nature to you, and you're not going to need so hard to prove yourself. It's going to feel more light and easy to say, I love Kiowa. That would be my vote. And then just be quiet, right? You're not convincing anybody. You're not spending your energy on that. The next thing would be to acknowledge your emotions. If your emotional awareness can deepen where you're seeing why maybe you're getting stressed out about a certain decision and why you're disconnecting from your intuition, recognizing how you feel about something can be incredibly powerful. Because to be honest, a lot of the decisions that I've made from emotions have been the hardest decisions of my life that have had the biggest impact on my life and have ended up being the best decisions of my life because I followed my values and I was being authentic to myself. That's the biggest thing I would say, is that if you're making a decision based on your values and based authentically on what you believe, you can stand by any decision you make that way, even if the results are difficult, right? Even if everybody else says, we hate Kiowa, we don't want to go to Kiowa, and you don't get to go to Kiowa, at least you said that's what you wanted to do. And you don't ever have to regret that, right? And then you've got to, last but not least, reflect on your past experiences. Look back on moments when you trusted or ignored your intuition and what was the outcome. And learn that you will make mistakes. That's just normal. All of us do. And the idea that anybody on this internet has everything together is the biggest freaking myth. And so if you're sitting there going, well, Amy trusts herself, that must be easy. Absolutely. I work at this because I've made big decisions in my life that had consequences that I am not happy about at all, that I have to live with every single day. But I know I did the right thing. I stood by my values. I was authentic to myself and I did my best. That's the other thing. Give yourself credit, right? You don't always have to be hard on yourself. If you're like, wow, 20 years later, I look back and I think, boy, did I mess up. You learned. Stop seeing things not going perfectly as your lack of ability or your leading to your lack of confidence, and learn slowly to trust yourself. If you try these 6 things, it's going to set you up for success, because when we trust ourselves, a calm can come over our decision-making process. A peace can enter our lives. And part of the myth that leads us to really doubt ourselves is that there is a singular correct decision to even be made, right? There are many right choices that you could make in most situations. The goal for us together is to get you to the point where you say, this is the right thing for me right now. And I'm just going to do the next right thing. And I trust myself to make the best decision with the information I have in the moment. So if there's a big decision that you're facing right now, I want you to trust your gut. I want you to trust your intuition. And I want you to know that you are not alone. Every single day, we all make decisions that can be challenging. The difference for you moving forward is you're going to know how to trust yourself, why it's so important, and build that confidence and trust. And at the end of the day, it's going to change your life because that's what you deserve. You deserve to feel confident in your own knowledge, in your